Hey. Psst. How you doing? What's up? It's been so long. How you been? You doing all right? Let me check. I'm gonna check if you're doing okay. Let's see. Yeah, it sounds good to me, man. Listen, this quarantine stuff has been wild, okay? I forgot what fast food tastes like. I don't even know if it's Thursday or it's Saturday, and I can't even see my friends. It's wild. But you know what we still got? We got poetry. I'm super happy. I'm excited that I'm still able to do these workshops for you. So let's get going. You ready? Let's do it. The first activity, real easy. I need you to do. It's a drawing one. It's really fun. I'll show you my example too. Just something friendly just to start us off, right? If COVID-19 was a supervillain or a monster, what would it look like? Let me show you what mine looks like, all right? Booyah! This is what my monster would look like if COVID-19 was a monster. I don't know, it might be purple, it might look a little innocent, like it's scared, but it's getting everyone infected. It's like gooey and icky. Now I used marker, I got some marker at home, right? So I was able to use some markers. But if you can't find any markers at home, that's okay. Another thing I like is, boom, I love colorful pens. Maybe you and everyone at home can hunt around the house and see how many colorful pens you can use. Even if you don't have pens either, maybe you can just use some pencil, okay? Now don't worry, that assignment is not mandatory, okay? It's optional, but it's a fun one. I know some of you like to draw or get creative. So if you want to draw, if you want to get creative, show me. I want to see it, all right? Now, this quarantine stuff is really bad, right? I miss fast food and I miss my friends, but I'm stuck at home with my family and we get on each other's nerves a lot. And there's some family I don't get to see a lot. I miss my mom and my brothers. I don't get to see them as often now, right? Now there's these two artists named Dennis and Warren. They created a book called 5 Oceans in a Teaspoon, right? And it's a book of poetry and some of their poems are writing about family. I want to show you some of their examples, all right?
So this first poem is called The Sheriff of Motherhood, and it's about two brothers fighting and how the mom has to separate them. Two brothers fighting over who got more. They yank pistols out of the invisible and open fire. Both drop to their knees, having mortally wounded each other, leaving the Sheriff of Motherhood to clean up the mess. So it's two brothers, they're fighting with fake pistols, pew pew, they're playing around, and the mom has to separate them, right? Now what's interesting about this poem, what I like is that they wrote the poem in a straight line, right? And then they played around breaking and bending the poem and the placement of their words. And that's what I want us to think about today, is how we place our words on the paper. Let's look at another example. I thought this poem was so amazing. It says, I tell you, tears are the building blocks. And then the next line that stuck out for me personally was, let's build our new house out of love and tears. What the artist did again is they put their words in different places instead of just writing in straight lines. It looks like they made their words into the shape of a house. And they're talking about building a house, right? So when it's time for you to write your poems, I want you to think about the placement of your words and what images you create with your words as well. What line stuck out to you in this poem? What do you like about this poem? Also, tell me what you think made them cry. What made the tears? Who's crying? What do you think the story behind this poem is? Alright, you ready for the third example? This is the last poem I'll show you for today. Now, this poem is called Death of a Family, so that tells us already something that's happening in this poem. But what do you think else is happening? There's so much happening around this table. Ghosts take up most of the space. What do you think that means? They play poker with a blank deck. What do you think it means to play poker with a blank deck? My full house is empty. What do you think it means to have a full house be empty? So tell me about that. Alright, you ready for the next assignment? Let's jump into the writing assignment now. Now it's your turn to write.
Alright everyone, it's time for us to write. Thank you to Dennis and Warren for creating those awesome poems. Now, this project is real quick, but it has 2 steps. The first step is to get the writing done, alright? So you have 2 writing prompts. You get to choose one of them, but you have 2 options. The first option is the struggles of being stuck at home. So what are you struggling with being stuck at home? What are your struggles? What do you have to deal with, right? That's your first option. If you don't want to write about that, the second option is, what do you miss before the quarantine? Now, I miss fast food and my friends, but I can keep on writing a bunch of examples. I want at least 2 to 5 sentences, whichever option you choose, all right? So you have 2 options, pick one, and give me at least 5 sentences, all right? That's the first step of the project. The second step, remember, Dennis and Warren didn't just write straight sentences. They moved their words around, they twisted them, they bent them, they made them upside down, however you want to write them, right? I want you to play around with what it looks like on paper. I'm going to do the same thing, so you're going to get to see some examples of mine as well, all right? Here are my 2 examples. This is the second prompt. What do you miss, right? I wrote, I miss teaching poetry, traveling the city to read my students' work. Now my students get to travel to me. And I was thinking about how you're able to travel to me through your phone or your laptop or whatever you're using to get to my lesson, right? That was the second prompt. And I only wrote 4 sentences with 4 lines. I got to write 4 lines, right? I also did the first prompt. What are you struggling with? My mother is far away. I can see how much she misses me. Her eyes hold back tears in our video calls. So I'm talking about how every time I video call my mom, she seems happy and she wants to talk and catch up, but when it's time to hang up, I can tell how sad she is, right? I did both prompts, so you have 2 examples. That's the first step, right? Just to get the writing done. That's all you have to worry about. The second step, and we've done this before, is concrete poetry. Remember that? Remember concrete poetry? Who remembers that? So I took my first prompt. I took the first prompt, this one, what do you miss? And I decided to play around with what it looks like on paper. I miss teaching poetry, traveling the city to read my students' work. I moved it all around, right? It looks like me traveling to different cities. And then I changed it to, now my students get to travel to me. And I made it to me inside of a laptop. How do you like it? I hope you liked my examples. Now it's your turn, all right? This video was posted with instructions on how to submit your work, okay? So make sure you submit it. I'm not sure if it's through Google Classroom or emailing your teachers. Make sure you get it in, all right? You don't have to submit the drawing that we did in the beginning. You can if you want to. I want to see it, but you don't have to. You do have to submit the poem, though, all right? I'm looking forward to seeing what the poem looks like. Hopefully it looks just like Dennis and Warren's, or even better, who knows, right? Thanks again to Dennis and Warren for creating those poems. Those were really amazing. All right. Once you get your work done, we can get back to video games. Yeah. The last thing I have to say, students, you know, it looks like this quarantine thing, it's happening for a long time. It's gonna keep on going, you know, and for some of us it sucks, you know, it's not so happy. But just keep in mind, we're here for you, you know. One of our poems today said to build a new house with love and tears. Alright, so keep that in mind. I'm looking forward to reading your poems. You're gonna get another video from me next week, alright? Awesome.